For 7-5, the title is using the distributive property, but I'm going to focus on just example 1 in the textbook. Example 1 is factoring out the greatest common factor. The other examples in this section we'll do again when we get to 7-6 and 7-7. So I'm just going to wait until we get to those to explain those examples. So this is what we did in class today using the distributive property. Factoring out the greatest common factor is what this is. So your steps when you're finding or factoring out the greatest common factor, if you have a polynomial and it has a common factor of terms, you can factor that common factor out. So the first thing you have to do is find out what the greatest common factor is. Then you're going to take each term in the polynomial, so here's one term, two terms, and divide by the greatest common factor. And then your final answer will be the result in what's called factored form, which will look like distributive property. So it will have a term, parentheses, rest of the terms, closing parentheses. Okay, so let's do these example ones. I'm going to post a practice worksheet that you can use. Like I said, there isn't, I didn't really like the examples in the textbook very much, so I am using the worksheet that I'm posting on Edmodo if you need extra practice. So let's look at number 1. It says 15m squared minus 9. Okay, so your terms are 15m squared and a negative 9 over here. So if you want to find the greatest common factor, you can start with the smallest number, 9. And if both terms can be divided by that 9 and get a whole number, then that's your greatest common factor. Or 3 terms, if there's 3, then you would start with the smallest in that case too. But if you do 15 divided by 9, you're not going to get a whole number. You're going to get a decimal. So 9 is too big to be the greatest common factor. We have to find a number that divides evenly into 15 and 9 that's smaller than 9. So 9 only has a few factors. The factors of 9 are 1 and 3 and 9. And those are the only factors of 9. So that means 3 is probably going to be our greatest common factor. If I divide 15 by 3, I'm going to get 5. If I divide 9 by 3, I'm going to get 3. So 3 is the number part of my greatest common factor. And then I look at the variables. So this one has 2 m's. It has an m and an m. This one has no m's though. So my greatest common factor in this case is only the 3 because m is not a factor of 9. Okay, so I have my greatest common factor on the outside of the parentheses, and then on the inside, because I have 2 terms here, I'm going to divide each one by the greatest common factor and write those in here. So if I have 2 terms here, I'm going to end with 2 terms inside the parentheses. So if I have 15m squared divided by 3, I would get 5m squared. So I'm finished with term 1. I divide the second term, negative 9 divided by 3 gives me a negative 3. I can close my parentheses, and this would be my result in factored form. So this is in factored form with the parentheses and the greatest common factor outside. So here again, let's do number 2. This one is 5x squared and 10x. So I find the greatest common factor. 5 is the smallest number, and I can divide 10 by 5. So 5 is also going to be my greatest common factor part of the number. Then I look at the variables. This is 2 x's. You have an x and an x because it's x squared. But this one is only 1x, and you can only take or include as many x's as they both have. So if this one has 2 and this one only has 1, then my greatest common factor will only have 1. Okay, I'm dividing each term, divided by 5x, divided by 5x. 5x squared divided by 5x, those 5's will equal 1 or cancel, and I have 2 minus 1 for the exponent, so I have 1x left. 10x divided by 5x will give me a positive 2. The x's will essentially cancel out. X divided by x equals 1. And so this is my answer in factored form. I can check my answer, which is a good thing, because I can do 5x times x and get 5x squared, 5x times 2 and get a positive 10x. And if this answer equals my original one, then I know that I did it correctly. If it doesn't equal the same thing, then I know that I'm probably wrong somewhere. Okay, so let's try the next one. 4x to the 5th minus 6x cubed plus 14x. Okay, so the numbers 4, 6, and 14. 6 does not divide evenly by 4. It gives you a decimal if you do 6 divided by 4. So 4 is too big. So let's think of a number that's less than 4, but that you can divide 4 by. Well, 2 or 1 would be the only option. So 4 divided by 2 works, 6 divided by 2 works, 14 divided by 2 works. And so we're going to get 2 for our number part. And then let's actually do it lower. 2, the variables, we have 5, 3, and 1. So I can only put 1. Parentheses. I'm dividing each term by 2x. 4 divided by 2 gives me 2x. 5 minus 1, so exponents subtract, gives me 4. Negative 6 divided by 2 is negative 3. 3 minus 1 is x to the second. 14 divided by 2 is positive 7, and the x's will go ahead and cancel out. So this is my final answer in factored form. And again, I can check my work. 2x multiplied by 2x to the 4th is 4x to the 5th. 2x multiplied by negative 3x squared is negative 6x to the 3rd. 2x times 7 is a positive 14x. 4x to the 5th minus 6x cubed plus 14x is the same thing as the original, so I know that I'm correct. This one, I have 8 and 12. I cannot divide 12 by 8, so I have to go smaller. I can try 4, that's the next smallest that I can divide 8 by, or the next biggest, I guess. 8 divided by 4, 12 divided by 4, that works. So we're going to do 4. Because both of these are negative, and actually because the first term is negative, I'm actually going to go ahead and take a negative out too, because I don't like to have negatives first in the parentheses. So because the first term is negative, I'm going to make this negative. Okay, and then I have 2 A's and 1 A, so I can take 1. 1 B and 2 B's, so I can take 1. 2 C's and 2 C's, so I can take 2. I'm dividing negative 4ABC squared, negative 4ABC squared. Negative 8 divided by negative 4 gives me a positive 2. A2 and A gives me A. B and B will cancel. C and C squared and C squared will cancel. And then the next term I have negative 12 and negative 4 division. So I have plus 3, positive 3, negative divided by negative. The A's will cancel out because I have 1 and 1. The B's, I still have 1 B because there's 2 minus 1. And the C's will cancel out. So here's my final answer. Checking. This would give me negative 8, 1, 2 A's, 1 B, 2 C's. Negative 4 and positive 3 is negative 12. 1 A, 2 B's, and 2 C's. So if this is the same as this, which it is, then I know I'm correct. Oh, wait, I forgot to put the squared because it's 1, 2 A's. Okay, number 5 says 3, 9, and 6. So my greatest common factor here clearly is 3. If I divide 3 by 3, 9 by 3, and 6 by 3, I'm going to get a whole number. So 3. And then I have 4 x's, 3 x's, and 2 x's. So I can take 2 x's. This one doesn't have a y though, so I can't do any y's. The greatest common factor is just 3x squared. I'm dividing. 3x to the fourth divided by 3x squared is 1x squared, which is the same thing as just x squared. Negative 9x cubed y divided by 3x squared gives me negative 3x. 3 minus 1, or I'm sorry, 3 minus 2 is 1, and it still has the y also. 6 divided by 3 is a positive 2. Those x's will cancel, and I have y squared left. Here's my answer. And then the last one over here says 15 and 20. I can see that 15 is too big because I can't divide 20 by 15. The next highest factor of 15 is 5, and I can divide them both by 5. So 5 is the number, 3 x's and 2 x's, 2 and 1, 1 and 2. Oh, that doesn't look like a z. Okay, I'm dividing. 15 divided by 5 is 3. 3 minus 2 gives us 1x left. The y's also have 1, and the z's will cancel altogether. Here we have 20 divided by 5, which is positive 4. Make sure you put the plus or the minus. If you divide this and it gives you a positive, put a plus. If you divide it and it gives you a negative, put a minus. So you have x2, those go away. Y goes away. Z2, Z1. So this has a z left over. And this is my final answer. Okay, go ahead and practice 1 through 9 on the uploaded assignment that goes with this. Page 1 is just this example page, blank, and then page 2 is 9 extra problems that you can practice.